During this Olympic Games, although Team USA successfully secured the gold medal, head coach Kerr's decisions regarding player rotations sparked significant criticism from both fans and former players. One particularly controversial point was his decision to DNP, did not play Celtics star Jayson Tatum twice during the Olympic tournament. Tatum was not only the sole player from this Olympic roster who made the All-NBA first team that season, but he was also the second leading scorer for Team USA in the previous Tokyo Olympics, right behind KD. Despite being an All-NBA first-team player, Tatum received fewer opportunities and playing time compared to his teammates Holiday and White. Celtics legend Bob Cousy even commented on this choice, stating, "This is an embarrassment for that poor kid all over the world." So, was Kerr's decision to DNP Tatum reasonable? What were the reasons behind it? Based on Tatum's performance in this FIBA tournament, what areas of his game still need improvement? The primary reason for freezing Tatum was his positional overlap with LeBron and KD. During the warm-up games, when KD was sidelined due to injury, Tatum's minutes were quite stable. He was a crucial part of Team USA's forward rotation, even starting a few games. His ability to play as a small ball four and do the dirty work made him an excellent complement to the other stars, and Kerr wasn't hesitant to give him playing time. However, once KD returned in the first group stage game, Tatum's minutes began to shrink. While he could still contribute as a role player with solid defense, he ultimately had no advantages over those two. LeBron was Team USA's primary playmaker in this Olympics, and throughout the tournament, he was the player Kerr relied on the most, even more so than Curry in some aspects. KD, on the other hand, was the most potent scoring threat on the wing for Team USA. His ability to score regardless of the defense was something Kerr couldn't afford to sacrifice. Since his return, KD's playing time remained consistently high. Together, LeBron and KD occupied almost all of the rotation minutes at the forward positions, and since Kerr favored lineups with multiple guards, Tatum was relegated to a backup option. This was one of the reasons for Tatum being frozen out. A secondary reason was Tatum's shooting accuracy during this Olympics. Although being benched may have affected his rhythm, Tatum's shooting had been off since the NBA Finals. In the Finals, he had 2 games where his three-point shooting percentage was below 20%, and he shot just 28.3% for the entire playoffs. During the Olympic warm-up games, Tatum couldn't find his rhythm either. In the 4 Olympic games he played, he didn't make a single three-pointer, missing several wide-open shots. Tatum's overall field goal percentage was just 38.1%, and his mid-range shooting was also poor. Meanwhile, except for him and White, the other 10 players on Team USA had shooting percentages over 50%. We all know Kerr's emphasis on spacing and shooting, so benching Tatum likely had something to do with these considerations as well. The third reason was Tatum's style of play and his role on the team. While Tatum can play a supporting role, as a player who is accustomed to being the focal point, he needs the ball in his hands to make an impact on offense. He excels at using pick-and-rolls to find mismatches and exploit them in isolation. The Celtics' offense relies heavily on his ability to break down defenses time and again. This style of play requires him to be the focal point, but Team USA doesn't lack primary options. Whether it's the veteran trio or a player like Edwards off the bench, there are others whose offensive efficiency surpasses Tatum's. A key factor in Kerr's decision to bench Tatum was his belief that Tatum wasn't capable of being the primary offensive option for Team USA, and his ability to contribute in a role player capacity wasn't as effective as that of Holiday or White. Additionally, there were defensive considerations. Although Tatum has great defensive versatility, capable of guarding positions 1 through 5, Team USA had better defenders at every position. For instance, as a 4, LeBron is a better rebounder and more experienced defender on the wing than Tatum. As a perimeter defender, faster and more agile guards like Holiday, White, and Edwards are superior at guarding the opposing team's primary ball handlers. Thus, when considering all the factors, offense, defense, position, and tactics, Kerr made the tough decision to DNP Tatum. But these reasons still don't fully justify the decision to freeze Tatum. First, reducing Tatum's minutes due to KD's return was, in itself, an unreasonable decision. LeBron and KD spent a considerable amount of time on the court together, and when they were separated, Kerr preferred to play with 3 guards instead of 3 forwards, which is a questionable decision. In both the Olympic semifinals and finals, the lineup with LeBron, KD, and AD on the floor together was clearly more effective than the 3-guard lineup. Under FIBA rules, forwards who combine size and speed clearly have an advantage on both ends of the court. If Team USA lacked strong forwards, this might be more understandable, but the reality is that Team USA had plenty of powerful forwards. From this perspective, Tatum's minutes were essentially taken by guards. If not for Kerr's obsession with guard-heavy lineups, Tatum likely wouldn't have been treated this way. Secondly, Kerr underestimated Tatum's utility as a role player. On this Team USA squad, if you consider overall abilities like positioning, help defense, rebounding, and finishing at the rim, Tatum was the most well-rounded forward. He's also young, with better stamina and focus in physical battles. If Kerr had been willing to deploy more forward-heavy lineups, Tatum would have found his way onto the court. This again ties back to Kerr's infatuation with guard-heavy lineups. Ultimately, Tatum fell victim to this preference. There's also another point of contention. While Tatum's primary offensive abilities don't match the veteran trios, he's at least on the same level as someone like Edwards. In fact, his vision and ability to drive and dish are even superior to Edwards. For example, in this year's playoffs, both Tatum and Edwards faced the same opponent, the Mavericks. From their performances, it was clear that Tatum's ability to draw defenders and find open teammates on drives far exceeded that of Edwards. If Edwards could get plenty of opportunities to handle the ball on this Team USA squad, there's no reason Tatum should have been frozen out. He could have easily taken on the role of initiating drives and dishing out passes at certain points, making him valuable even when his three-point shot wasn't falling. The negative effects of freezing Tatum were evident in the semifinals. When Edwards wasn't playing well, the bench lacked another ball handler to initiate the offense, and Team USA fell behind until the veterans took over in the fourth quarter to secure the win. Imagine if Tatum had been used more when Edwards was struggling. Wouldn't that have been a better option? It's worth noting that Tatum was listed as DNP in both games against Serbia. The first DNP was reportedly due to matchup reasons, according to Kerr's interview. For the second game, Kerr attributed it to KD's better performance, calling it a numbers issue. But was Tatum really benched because he couldn't match up against Serbia's players? Looking at Serbia's roster, they didn't have the kind of ultra-quick guards that Tatum struggles with. Instead, they had bigger, stronger players at his position. These are exactly the types of matchups where Tatum's size and strength could have given him an advantage, allowing him to outmatch his opponents on both ends of the floor. And if we look at Tatum's performance against Serbia in the warm-up games, he held his own on both offense and defense, making Kerr's decision even more puzzling. After the Olympics, many players and former stars spoke out in defense of Tatum, and Tatum himself mentioned in an interview that this was a tough personal experience. However, tough experiences aren't always bad. At least this Olympic tournament exposed some of Tatum's weaknesses. If he can address these issues, he could evolve from being an All-NBA player to an MVP-level star. The first thing Tatum needs to do is regain his shooting touch through hard work. This season, Tatum bulked up to play the power forward position, which enhanced his ability to drive and break down defenses. However, with the increased physicality, his three-point shooting completely lost its accuracy, as evidenced by a 28.3% shooting percentage, far too low. It's worth noting that in the previous season's playoffs, Tatum was able to knock down 6 threes and score 51 points in a Game 7. He was once one of the most efficient wings in the NBA at hitting pull-up threes. If he can regain his shooting while maintaining his current driving ability, his self-creation ability will be significantly enhanced. The second area for improvement is Tatum's go-to moves as a primary scorer. Failing to compete with KD and LeBron highlighted Tatum's issue of being well-rounded but not mastering any one particular skill. He can drive to the basket, but he's not at LeBron's level where it's almost automatic. When facing defenders who can match his physicality and speed, his drives can easily be stymied. He can also hit mid-range shots and post-up, but again, he's not on KD's level as a mid-range maestro. He can't consistently shoot over defenders with ease, and his stability in this area still has a long way to go. As for three-point shooting, Tatum has been one of the highest volume three-point shooters among wings in recent years, and this has been the cornerstone of his rise to being an elite player. However, three-point shooting is highly variable, and if it's relied upon as a go-to move, cold spells like the one he experienced in this Olympics can cause problems. Therefore, Tatum should seriously consider what he excels at and what he can further improve. He needs to hone at least one skill to a level where it's more stable and immune to defensive pressure. The final area is Tatum's defensive ability. In terms of switching, on-ball defense, post defense and help defense, Tatum's defense is certainly at an elite level, but it suffers from the same issue as his offense. Nothing stands out as particularly exceptional. Given Tatum's physical gifts, there's still significant room for improvement in his defense. If during this Olympics his on-ball defense or help defense had been at the highest level, he could have easily taken some of White's minutes. The start of the new season is just around the corner, and Tatum has already secured an NBA championship. The next step is to move toward becoming an MVP-level player. His consistent playoff appearances over the years have made us forget just how young he still is. In reality, Tatum has just turned 26 and is only now entering his prime. At 26, he won both an NBA championship and an Olympic gold medal, becoming only the third player in history, after Jordan and LeBron, to be named to the All-NBA first team, win an NBA title, and secure an Olympic gold medal all in the same year. So, his future holds endless possibilities.